This is a video about the Phiharmonic Visual Synthesiser, which is a Max-based synthesizer which also has visuals operated from processing and has some Arduino aspects as well, so it can be controlled via ultrasonic sensors, which I have here beside me. You can see them in this camera here. So there's kind of three aspects to this. There's the Arduino aspect, which is the input. There's also some MIDI input as well, so keyboard input and some dials and MIDI dials and so on. Then you have the Max aspect of it, which is mostly the audio stuff, and the processing part, which is all the video stuff. So the basic idea behind the Phiharmonic Visual Synthesiser is that it's a synthesizer which is based on it's an additive synth, first of all, so it has a bunch of additive kind of partials here, 9 in all, and it's also an 8 voice synthesizer, so it's kind of multiple oscillators, and it's organized in the harmonic series normally. So for example, you have this sound here, and as you add in the different partials, you can hear them kind of joining in as you would expect in the normal harmonic series. So that's the kind of, it's a simple, very simple kind of additive synth in that way, and then you kind of have a one fused kind of sound together, which you can play and stuff like that. You can play just as you would normally, and then you've got other controls, like you've got delay, bass effects and so on here, so you can turn that off and on and so on. And you also have some chorus, which we can mess around with. So it's very simple, and it has a normal ADSR that you would expect, along with the partials. But what also it has then is, as well as a visual aspect, it can morph the partials from the harmonic series ratio into a phi ratio. So you get this kind of sound, which I can demonstrate for you now. And then we can morph that sound into the harmonic series. And as you can see, the visual kind of follows that as well, going into a phi related distribution pattern, and then back into just a normal sort of rational distribution pattern based on the number 5. So I can fool around with those kind of partials and squeeze them and move them in different directions using this dial here. And this dial, when I turn the sensor, can also be controlled by this ultrasonic sensor here. And the closer I move my hand to the sensor, the more phi-like the partials will be. So, and as you can see, then the visuals are also kind of affected by this as well, and they're locked together. So so I can kind of mess with the I've got 2 sensors here actually. The second sensor is just a kind of a frequency shift sensor. So if I mess with that, I get this kind of thing. And again, there's a visual that's kind of associated with that. And then of course I can use the 2 together. And I get all sorts of effects that way. And if I like, I can use an LFO to kind of go through all of these settings if I want. And I can do it on the frequency bender, or I can do it on the partial bending as well. I can just do it on one of them, or I can do it on both of them. Whatever way I want, really. It depends on whatever I like. And I can add in visual effects to that as well if I want, which are kind of separate. So if I turn on the LFO on the frequency bender and turn it off the partial bender, I can actually change what the kind of partial aspect of the picture looks like, separate to the to this frequency bending. So and I can also use a I can set this a sequence going as well, so I can kind of check these things if I want. So what I'll do is I'm just going to turn the LFOs off, and I'm going to set them back to sort of a minimum setting, and then I can start to mess with the sound here and mess with the frequency. And what's kind of interesting is that I have a second series of in the sequence that sounds like this, and that sounds like really like, what are those notes? They don't seem to make any sense, but yet if I do this, it's almost like the sounds are making up an octave. And that's because the ratios that you're hearing there are actually the phi ratios. And so when I choose to put the partials into a phi arrangement, I get a sound that ends up sounding almost like it's octaves. So so it's good fun to play with. You know, you can have a lot of fun with it, changing the visual aspect of it, turning on the LFOs and messing around with those, setting them back to a default, making them faster, making the tempo faster. So it's a lot of fun to mess around with. Yeah, so so that's kind of the basic idea behind it. There are some other features as well. There's some presets built into it and so on. So, but that's basically the idea behind this Phiharmonic Visual Synthesiser. Okay, thanks very much.